Dr. V. Shankar, President of SIES, Dr. A. Sivathanu Pillai, Dr. Prahlada Ramarao, Sri Ulhas Mukke, Dr. Mani Dravid Sastrigal, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I feel deeply honored to receive an award instituted in the sacred memory of Pujya Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Mahasamigal, the 68th Sankaracharya of the esteemed Sri Kasi Kamakoti Pitam. The Mahasami was a moral force rarely seen in any age. His life and journey heralded a new ideal and ushered in an era of spiritual resurgence. His influence to the society was so deep that it became inseparable from the thoughts and collective aspiration of our people. From being a moral individual, he transformed into an impersonal being. He became an eternal institution and a guiding light for humanity. To receive an honor bestowed in his sacred memory is not merely a moment of personal recognition, it is a moment for reflection, devotion, and a renewed commitment to the ideals he embodied. I express my heartfelt gratitude to His Holiness, Pujya Sankara Vijayendra Saraswati Samigal, the Jagadguru Sankaracharya of Sri Kasi Kamakoti Pitam, and the South Indian Education Society for graciously considering me for this award. Today, as I receive this honor, I am reminded how closely Assam's spiritual history is woven with the larger civilizational story of Bharata. Adi Sankaracharya himself traveled through ancient Kamrupa, debating great scholars like Nabagupta and establishing Advaita tradition in the northeast. A mandapam at Kamakhya temple stands as testimony to that visit. Later, Pujya Jayendra Saraswati Samigal deepened this connection by founding Sri Shankaradeva Netralaya and Purva Tirupati Mandir in Guwahati. The Purva Tirupati Balaji Mandir has become a spiritual anchor for the people of Assam, who once traveled thousands of kilometers from Assam to Tirupati now find the same divinity, the same grace right at home. The Shankaradeva Netralaya that carries the name of the greatest spiritual luminary of our region, Srimanta Shankaradeva, is a beautiful confluence of Shankaracharya and Shankardeva, of Advaita and Bhakti, of Kasi and Kamrupa. Therefore, with utmost humility, I accept this honor today as a representative of a civilization that has shaped my values, my character, and my public life. This award reinforces my responsibility to preserve the sacred, to protect the vulnerable, and to pass on a stronger cultural foundation to the next generation. I dedicate this recognition to the people of Assam for their blessings and love. I dedicate it to my parents who shaped my early years and taught me to see public life as service. And I dedicate it to the ideals of Sanatana Dharma that have guided me quietly at every step. Sanatana Dharma is the eternal, ever-renewing civilizational philosophy that has shaped the soul of Bharat for thousands of years. It is not merely a religion, it is a way of life. Sanatana is an ethical compass, a spiritual inquiry, a timeless quest for truth. It is eternal not only because it is ancient, but because its essence continues to remain relevant. Sanatana is open to reform and renewal across generations. Unlike faiths founded on a single prophetic revelation, Sanatana Dharma rests on the conviction that truth cannot be imposed, but it must be discovered. Many Semitic traditions progress through exclusive revelation and prescribe pathways for salvation. But Sanatana Dharma teaches that truth is a journey undertaken with humility. It is a path through self-discipline and lived experience. As the Seta Upanishad reminds us, the divine reveals itself through the heart, the mind, and the will. The Hindu, therefore, does not look upward for revelation, but inwards for realization. According to Hindu philosophy, the quest for the eternal is manifested in multiple ways. The Hindus speak of three profound paths to approach the divine, which is jnana, bhakti, and karma. Few civilizations have produced such a rich spectrum of spiritual possibilities. One may seek God in ritual or meditation. Another may seek Him in nature and formless consciousness. This capacity to hold multiple ways without conflict is the essence of Sanatana Dharma. The Hindu imagination has always understood that truth is too infinite to confine within a single scripture. Our sages declare, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Badanti. Truth is one. The wise describe it in many ways. The Jagyavalkya could speak of thousands of gods, yet trace them all to one supreme reality. The Hindu mind can simultaneously worship Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Durga, or Ganesha. At the same time, the Hindu also pay respect to the teaching of Christ, the compassion of the Buddha, or the wisdom of Torah. These are not contradictions, but diverse windows opening towards the same infinite light. The inclusive spirit explained why Jews from Bene Israel community found refuge in India without persecution, why Zoroastrian fleeing Persia were embarrassed on our shores, why monks, fakirs, and scholars of every faith lived here in harmony. Bharat has always regarded differing religious practice not as challenges, but as additional expression of infinite. Swami Vivekananda captured this perfectly in Chicago in 1893 when he celebrated the universal divinity that Hindus call Brahma, Zoroastrian call Ahura Mazda, Jews call Yehubu, Christian calls the Father in heaven, and Buddhists call the Buddha. Within Hinduism itself, diversity is not only accepted but also celebrated. A Hindu may choose a personal deity and Ishta Devata. Another may find solace in the silence of the formless, another in ancestor worship, another in local tradition. It reflects the vast freedom that Sanatana Dharma accords to every seeking soul. Sanatana Dharma has no founder, no central authority, and no single book. It does not seek to convert, it seeks to elevate. It does not demand conformity, it encourages exploration. It has survived invasion, colonialism, and ideological hostility because its roots lie not in institution but in universal truth. Its spiritual democracy makes it the living foundation of Bharat's civilization. Sanatana Dharma blossoms naturally through the generation as a way of life shaped by habit, culture, memory, or everybody devotion. Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan beautifully wrote, I quote, in Hindu life, intellect is subordinate to intuition, dogma to experience. Religion is not an accepted abstraction, but a way of living, unquote. Millions of people embody Hinduism without undergoing formal religious training. Their faith emerges naturally in their prayers, festival, respect for elders, daily rituals, and even in simple gesture like folding hands before leaving home. It is a Hinduism of habit which is deep and enduring. That this decentralized and organic transmission explain how Sanatana Dharma survived centuries of invasion and modern ideological attack. Its strength lies not in uniformity, but in diversity. No two religions of our nation practice their tradition identically. What is natural in Tamil Nadu may be unfamiliar in Gujarat. What inspired devotion in Assam may be unknown in Rajasthan. Yet, every custom finds a place within the vast canopy of Sanatana. This ability to unify many truths without conflict is the civilizational genius of Hindu thought. It is here that story of Assam and the Northeast becomes specially relevant. Our religion represents one of the most vibrant expressions of this lived diversity. Assam has always been a meeting ground of culture where tribal cosmologies, indigenous ritual, and classical Hindu traditions have converged and enriched one another. Hinduism did not arrive in Northeast as an overriding force. It arrived as a cultural companion. It adopted to the land. Hinduism absorbed local tradition and preserved ancient spiritual impulses. It did not erase, it caused synthesis. The Assamese spiritual resurgence led by Mahapurush Srimanta Shankardeva remained one of the most profound examples of this synthesis. His Ekakaran Nam Dharma was a democratic spiritual movement. It carried devotion, equality, compassion, and simplicity as essence of Sanatana Dharma to every household. Shankardeva introduced the Bhakti mark, focusing on 4 principles, that is, Guru, Dev, Nam, and Bhakat, to bring unity and promote spirituality. He created a spiritual, cultural, and artistic movement unique to Assam, yet it was fully aligned with a larger Hindu tradition. Shankardeva philosophy shines with remarkable clarity in his seminal work, Bhakti Ratnakar. Within this text, he devoted an entire chapter, Bharata Bhu Prasangsa, in praises of the sacred land of Bharat. Across his writing, he invoked India about 46 times. He repeated references to Bharat, reveal a deeper truth that Assam was already woven into the cultural fabric of Bharat. Shankardeva firmly anchored Assam within the broader unity of Indian civilization. But the spiritual beauty of Assam and the Northeast lies not only in Vaishnavism, it also lies in the indigenous faith which are rooted to humanity's earliest spiritual experience. This tradition woven around nature worship represents some of the oldest layers of the Sanatana civilization. Communities like Bodos worship Batho through the sacred Siju plant, symbolizing nature's purity. The Rabha people blend ancient spirit worship with Sakta and Vaishnavite tradition. The Tiwas regard Mahadev as supreme, fusing tribal ritual with Shaivism. The Dimasas worship ancestral god like Sivarai and Ranasandri, while embracing element of Hinduism. The Karbis preserve deities of protection, illness, and forest, reasoning Vedic era nature worship. The Thai Ahom honor a supreme being and celestial deities, but eventually embrace Vaishnavism and Shaktism. This pattern continues across Meghalaya, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Manipur, and Tripura, where indigenous faith resonate with the Sanatana Dharma. This is why the North is perhaps one of the living repositories of Sanatana Dharma in modern world. In the Northeast, faith is woven into the tradition of agriculture, hunting, music festival, and ecological wisdom. Religion is not a doctrine, but a culture, not a compulsion, but a memory. And this is the spirit we must preserve because it makes both Assam and Sanatana Dharma truly eternal. Sanatana Dharma is the ancient and the inclusive tradition of Bharat. Yet, it is a paradox that it has faced its greatest challenges in its very birthplace. For centuries, foreign invaders attempted to break our civilizational backbone by destroying temples, universities, center of learnings. Yet, Sanatanas endured what the sword could not conquer. The people preserved it through faith, memory, and cultural practices. After independence, however, a new challenge emerged. It was a quiet attempt, but often more harmful. It came in the form of political appeasement, intellectual ridicule, and an ideological ecosystem that pushed Sanatana Dharma into the margin. Successive Congress government built narratives that weaken Hindu identity while strengthen other faiths. This was supported by a section of the left liberal establishment. Hindu institutions were restricted, Hindus were dismissed, and Hindu heritage were destroyed. The Place of Worship Act 1991 stands as a striking example. By freezing the religious character of every place as it existed on 15 August 1947, This act denied Hindus the right to seek justice for historical violation. It denied the healing of wounds that persisted for centuries. It prevented investigation into the truth of Kashi or Mathura. The law did not reconcile the past, it silenced it. The legal suppression was accompanied by distortion of history. Invaders like Bakhtiyar Khilji, who burned Nalanda, Aurangzeb, who destroyed temples and executed Guru Tegh Bahadur, Babur, who murdered the Hindus, were commemorated in textbook and public space. Meanwhile, heroes like Shivaji Maharaj, Lasit Borphukan, Rani Durgavati, and Prithviraj Chauhan received little recognition. A nation that forgets its heroes slowly forgets itself. Alongside this distortion came legal imbalance in the name of secularism. Under the Sharia Act 1937, polygamy remained permissible. The proposed communal violence bill drafted by the then National Advisory Council assumed that the perpetrators must be Hindus and victims must be minorities, even in regions where Hindu themselves were vulnerable minorities. The Waqf Act 1995 further deepened the imbalance. It empowered Waqf Board as third largest landholders in India after the railways and defense, with the extraordinary power to unilaterally declare properties as its own. Waqf Board were shielded from civil courts. In the final days of UPA government in Delhi in 2014, the transfer of 123 prime government properties to the Waqf Board reflected a trend of giving priority to one community's interest over national equity. In contrast, Hindu institutions were subject to state control. Temples were taken over, revenues diverted, lands leased out at cheaper price. Hindu temples that once sustained Sanskrit education, culture, charity, and community welfare were weakened by law. This prolonged state interference inflicted a psychological wound, making Hindus feel alienated in their own ancestral civilization. Yet, Sanatana Dharma does not fade. It awakens, it regenerates, it rises. Even as we celebrate our civilizational strength, we must also recognize the challenge of our time. Civilizations are not destroyed only by armies. They are weakened fast by erosion of culture, distortion of history, and pressure on demographic balance. Assam has witnessed all of these. Assam stands as a striking example of how deliberate politics and inaction by governments often undermine the very fabric of Sanatana civilization. Long before Srimanta Shankardeva brought Assam into the broader cultural tapestry of India, the land faced repeated external aggression. The invasion of Bakhtiyar Khilji was weakened in Assam by Maharaja Prithu. Later, Lasit Borphukan valiantly defended Assam against the invasion of Mughals. However, at the time of Bharat's independence, Assam witnessed large-scale immigration and settlement of Muslim migrants into its land from East Pakistan. This fundamentally altered demographic patterns and in many instances displaced indigenous and tribal communities. Politics such as Grow More Food implemented under the Muslim League government encouraged such settlement. Districts that were once predominantly inhabited by indigenous communities gradually came under the dominance of the migrant Muslim. These had direct consequence for government land and reserve forests. Vast tracts of land held by Satra institution founded by Mahapurush Srimanta Shankardeva fell into the hands of encroachers. Decades of unchecked immigration into our land has threatened the cultural continuity of many indigenous communities. What earlier appeared as a social issue has today emerged as civilizational concern. When forests disappear, when Satra lands are encroached upon, when demographic invasion silence the voices of the indigenous people, then it becomes a struggle for identity, heritage, and survival. This is why our government has taken bold and decisive action. We have cleared vast traces of forest land that were illegally occupied. Nearly 15,000 hectares of land have been freed from encroachers and restored to nature. These efforts have revived ecosystem, protected wildlife habitats, and reaffirmed our commitment to preserve Assam's natural heritage. Likewise, we have acted firmly to protect the land of our Vaishnavite Satras. Satras are living example of Assam civilization. In Nagaon district, we have cleared illegal occupation in Bordua, the sacred birthplace of Mahapurush Srimanta Shankardeva. Safeguarding Bordua is an act of profound cultural reverence. It is a solemn commitment to honor the very soil that gave birth to Srimanta Shankardeva, the greatest spiritual reformer of Northeast India. In Assam, we have already begun strong steps towards strengthening border security. We are attempting to improve population data system. Our objective is to protecting tribal belts and blocks and ensuring safeguard of communities who have safeguarded our civilization through centuries. This is not the task of one government or one generation. It is a long mission to protect the soul of Assam, its forests, its satras, its sacred geography, and its demographic harmony. Recognizing importance of spiritual tradition of the indigenous communities, our government has established a dedicated department. This department is given mandate to preserve, research, and promotion of tribal and indigenous faith. This is the first time in Assam history that such an institution has been created with a clear mandate to document, ritual, protect sacred practices, strengthening indigenous institutions, and ensure that cultural memory of these communities is preserved for future generations. In parallel, our government has substantially enhanced annual support to satras, namghars, traditional places of worship. By doing so, we have affirmed that cultural heritage is not an optional legacy, but it is the foundation of identity. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi, has recognized these national challenges as well. He has proposed a comprehensive mission to study demographic changes across India so that evidence-based policy decisions are adopted. This mission will help the nation distinguish between natural demographic shift and those induced by illegal migration or organized encroachment. At the national level, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, Bharat has witnessed decisive shift. The decade-long governance of Modi ji has witnessed a revival of civilizational pride, a return to cultural self-confidence, and the restoration of fairness in governance. Sanatana Dharma today stands not as a victim, but as a resurgent civilization. Through the reconstruction of Kashi Vishwanath Dham, the revival of pilgrimage circuits, the protection of temple heritage, and the historic completion of Ram Mandir at Ayodhya, the Prime Minister has reconnected Bharat with his sacred geography. He has shown that modernity and heritage can work hand in hand. As I stand here today, receiving an honor that bears the sacred name of Mahaswami of Kanchi, I am reminded that the awards are not merely decoration. They are calls to responsibility. They urge us to walk the path of Dharma with even greater humility and dedication. May the blessings of Mahaswami inspire all of us to live with compassion, morality, and service to humanity. Let us commit ourselves to nurturing the spiritual heritage of our nation. Let us build a Bharat that is modern in capability, ancient in wisdom, and universal in outlook. And above all, let us uphold the timeless message of Sanatana Dharma, that truth, compassion, and harmony are the paths through which humanity realizes its highest potential. With these words and with sincere gratitude for this honor, I bring an end to my work. Thank you. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram.